Hello everyone! Are you scared of sharks? Sheriff Brody, who once struck fear into the hearts of underwater monsters, can no longer protect his wife and kids, leaving them to face the dangerous and cunning sharks on their own. But when you see how they're gonna do it, the movie is so ridiculous that it consistently makes it to the lists of the worst films, but it's also perfect for a great time with your friends. Sheriff Brody, who has killed several giant killer sharks in his lifetime, dies of a heart attack 13 years after the first attack of sharks on humans. His wife Ellen continues to live on the island with her young son, Sean. In the evening, she fries fish for her impatient son, who sneakily eats vegetables from a salad plate. Christmas is coming soon, and Sean and his bride are going to buy a Christmas tree. Ellen hears the phone ringing. It's her 5-year-old granddaughter. This little girl is the daughter of Ellen's eldest son, Michael.
Ask the big doctor about his job. Tough life, you Bahamian beach bum playing in the water all day.
I heard that.
Sean followed in his father's footsteps and joined the police force. After a trip to the store, he briefly checks in the police station, where he hears a call from a concerned citizen. He tells the female operator that a large log is drifting in the channel, stuck on a beacon, and it has to be cleared before the fishermen come back. The Coast Guard is no longer on duty, so Sean volunteers to pull it away on a boat. As he arrives on the pier, he sees a lively celebration going. Making his way to the beacon, he notices it was almost tipped over due to a large log. He throws a rope over it, but to his horror, a massive great white shark emerges from the darkness and lunges at him. The shark bites off his arm, leaving him shocked and struggling to hold onto the boat. Unfortunately, amidst the loud singing, Sean's cries for help go unnoticed. The monstrous shark attacked once again, tearing off a large chunk of the boat and dragging the man under. It seemed like the log served as a neat trap. What if the call to the police was also staged by this ruthless predator? Ellen identifies her son's remains in the morgue. Michael shows up at the funeral with his wife, Carla, and their daughter, Thea. Ellen is still shocked and keeps staring into the sea that took her son. Michael meets her on the shore. Ellen is convinced that the shark ambushed her son to get revenge on their family. Later, she demands that Michael quit his job in the Bahamas and forbids all the relatives to ever go near the water.
Sharks don't commit murder. They don't pick out a person.
It picked out Sean. It killed your father.
Dad died from a heart attack.
He died from...
Ellen made up her mind, but Michael has no intention of abandoning his science project, for which he already got funding. At the funeral, Ellen recalls her husband playing with little Sean. Now, they will meet in heaven. Afterwards, Michael suggests taking Ellen with him to the Bahamas so that she can take her mind off the tragedy and relax with her granddaughter in the warm climate. The sharks won't get them there. Their journey starts with a ferry ride, during which Ellen is overwhelmed by memories of her son and can't hold back her tears. Later, as the Brody family boards a small plane to the Bahamas, their pilot Hoagie kindly allows little Thea to take control of the aircraft. With great enthusiasm, she maneuvers the plane up and down, causing some anxiety among the passengers. Was it that shark that hired the pilot to crash the plane and take revenge on the whole family? Nevertheless, they successfully make a safe landing. On the way home, the cab driver sings Christmas carols, reminding Ellen of her tragedy. Upon arrival, Ellen sees her granddaughter playing by the water. She gets anxious and tells her to get off the rope swing. Carla takes crying Thea away, and Michael takes his mother to the garage, where he shows her his wife's sculpture. It's called Tourists on the Loose and will be unveiled at the new beach opening. Ellen becomes frightened when she notices jagged edges resembling the mouth of a shark. Later that night, she has a nightmare where she finds herself swimming in deep waters, only to have the shark grab her leg. In the morning, Michael goes to work and dives underwater to find clams to study. He attaches special tracking devices to the shells to learn more about the sea creature's movements and reproduction. His cheerful colleague, Jake, pokes fun at Michael endlessly.
You've been down there all damn day. We got nothing to show for it but excuses. Michael, you're tagging the damn things for Christ's sake.
They argue over their slow progress and the fact that they have to work on Christmas Eve. But eventually, Jake apologizes, saying he feels sorry about Michael's deceased brother. After work, co-workers and their wives meet at Brody's house and exchange gifts. Thea is happy to get a toy tea set, and her father loves his new Hawaiian shirt. Thea remembers her dead uncle again, and Ellen goes outside and tries to convince the last man in her family to quit his dangerous job. Michael assures Ellen there's nothing to worry about. He needs to get a science degree studying mollusks. After all, the vengeful shark won't swim 2,000 miles from Amity Island just to get them. He has no idea that the shark also wants to celebrate the new year in the Bahamas. Later, Ellen plays with her granddaughter in the sand and feels the predator's gaze on her. Turns out no one's in a mood to hunt grannies. It's just Hoagie, who swims up to them in a boat, eager for a friendly conversation. Meanwhile, scientists look at mollusks through a microscope and complain about the lack of funding. That's a common problem for science. So Jake offers to get a grant by getting the military interested in studying the clams' fighting abilities. But Michael doesn't want to do that. They're already strapping bombs to dolphins, and that's bad enough. Michael climbs out of the hold and sees his mother walking along the shore with Hoagie. Michael watches them through binoculars. Meanwhile, Ellen confides in her newfound friend, sharing her worries about the shark seeking vengeance. Despite the woman already questioning her own sanity, Ellen firmly believes she has a supernatural bond with the shark.
I know it's coming. I know it's coming.
The pilot pays close attention to the woman's words, but he isn't bothered by what he heard. He invites Ellen to join him on a flight and even offers to teach her how to fly the plane. When Ellen declines, he nonchalantly releases the control wheel. The aircraft tilts and heads towards the ground, forcing the woman to take control and prevent a crash. Surprisingly, she finds it relatively easy, like riding a bicycle. Hoagie continues to blabber on about his adventures in the jungle, where he unexpectedly encountered a tribe of headhunters. Not believing a single word of this, Ellen still likes Hoagie enough to go to the local carnival with him. They are no longer being watched by Michael through binoculars. At this time, he gives directions to Jake, who's in a submersible. Suddenly, a vengeful shark swims by him.
We got a big fish down here, man.
Oh yeah? How big?
The shark tears off a piece of their boat, trying to get to Michael. Apparently, it was the first warning, because the shark swims away after only chewing on the wooden planking a bit. Sensing trouble, Ellen nevertheless brushes off her worries and immerses herself in the dance. Hoagie joins her, attempting to distract her from her shark obsession. While Jake tries to track down where the predator swam, Michael asks him not to tell his mom what happened under no circumstances. It's easy to understand him. It's better to be eaten by a shark than to hear your mom say, "I told you so." Ellen returns home past midnight after her date with Hoagie, and now Michael is getting worried. Why is she no longer preaching about sharks and the family curse? Luckily, Carla distracts her husband from these thoughts too. The next day, everyone dresses up and goes to the casino where Jake's wife works. Hoagie also joins the New Year's Eve celebration. A tipsy Jake can hardly keep himself from talking about a sea monster that will make the scientists famous. Michael, on the other hand, doesn't like Hoagie following his mother everywhere. He takes her away for a dance. Ellen explains that Hoagie has miraculously cured her of her obsessive shark thought. The next day, Jake lets his assistants take a day off so he could study a huge shark instead of clams. Michael really doesn't like the idea. They still haven't gotten any results on their work in 3 months. The shark's plan is on the verge of failure. If things go like this, the scientists won't get their degrees and will stop studying the underwater world. Michael packs his bags and wants to leave his partner. But Jake, on the other hand, dreams of world fame when they discover a new shark species. He comforts his friend, who is afraid of dying as his brother did. Or maybe it's more important for him to prove his mother wrong. Jake suggests spending half his time studying sea snails and the other half studying sharks, and Michael agrees. At home, the guy argues with his wife about the garbage she makes him take out. The girl is getting ready for the most important day of her career and doesn't want to be distracted by house chores. Carla turns on the burner to finish her sculpture. Michael can't resist this view.
I've always wanted to make love to an angry welder. I've dreamed of nothing else since I was a small boy.
Carla puts the burner away, and they get busy making a new generation of Brody's family, so the sharks will have someone to eat in the next movies. In the meantime, Jake is crafting a transmitter that he wants to attach to the shark to track its movements. The scientists bait it with pieces of meat and put the tracker in its side. This time, the shark shows no concern about the ship carrying the son of the man responsible for a massive shark extermination and just swims away. Could it be a clever bluff on its side? At this time, Hoagie and Ellen go on a date. The man skips work again, claiming he'll just steal money from his boss. He's just the true boyfriend material. Hoagie says he really wants to kiss his date. After a little embarrassment, the woman lets him do it. Jake and Michael are following the shark. And in the meantime, Michael's only concern is that Hoagie is trying too hard to become his stepfather. He asks Jake about the pilot's background, suggesting that he might be carrying illegal substances on his plane. Jake only pokes fun at his anxious friend. At home, Ellen and Carla gossip about their grandmother's love life. The girl is inspired by the idea that no one is too old to feel love. I'm sorry, what was this movie about? Oh yeah, sharks. Let's get back to that. Now Michael has nightmares about shark jaws with 2 rows of razor-sharp teeth. Michael can't hide his anxiety, and his mother notices it. Thea copies everything her dad does, and then they have a fun game. It would be a shame if some of them gets eaten by a shark later. When the girl goes to bed, Ellen shares a beer with Michael and says she'll be leaving in a couple of days. She doesn't want to see her son unhappy because of his failures at work, and she manages to cheer him up a bit. In the morning, Michael sails off to study clams in a small submersible to be able to defend himself against a shark in case it attacks. Jake monitors the predator's location on radar and soon notices that the monster is rapidly approaching. Michael rushes into the cockpit and revs up the engine, but fails to reach the ship on time. The shark bites through the hull, causing Michael to flip over. He narrowly escapes and swims away, but the predator pursues him. The scientist gets inside the submerged vessel, but the shark follows him into the flooded quarters with a thirst for revenge. Trapped, Michael discovers that the metal door is stuck shut. The shark finally catches up, but in the narrow space, it can't swallow the man whole and instead rams into him with its snout. This collision sends Michael flying, and he hits the door with tremendous force, which finally opens and allows him to escape. Meanwhile, the shark gets stuck in the narrow opening. At this time, Jake sees his friend's submarine resurfacing from the bottom. He quickly orders his assistants to gear up and submerge. Fortunately, they aren't fast enough to do that. Michael comes up with a better idea. He unscrews the valve on his oxygen tank and grabs an improvised rocket that propels him to the surface. Terrified beyond any measure, he gets onto the boat, and Jake puts a bandage on his arm to stop the bleeding. At night, he suffers from insomnia and has a fever. He goes to the bathroom and turns on the light to see his reflection in the mirror. He is faced with a difficult choice, to either kill the shark or become its prey. Despite Jake's objections, he puts on his gear in the morning.
I'm scared shitless. What the hell am I supposed to do if I can't come back in that water?
Well, how about you change your job? But how could one entrust such an important job as studying mollusks to anyone else? Jake lets his friend go, but tells him to be careful. After all, there's a giant shark out there that already killed his brother and almost bit Michael's head off. So a little bit of caution wouldn't hurt. And it seems like Michael is starting to believe his mother, even though she didn't even get to say, "I told you so."
Yeah, but how come only me though, you know?
Maybe he just like white meat.
You're a funny guy, Jake.
Michael can't stop thinking about the clever shark's plot and is now frightened of even a regular-sized moray eel. At this time, Carla's sculpture is being unveiled on the beach. The wives of the valiant scientists are worried that their husbands are running late, but they actually got nothing to worry about. They just wasted all the funding without getting the results, and now they're trying to get away from the killer shark. Not a big deal. Getting tired of the boring speech, Thea asks her mother if she can go on a banana boat ride. Excitedly, she joins her friend and her mom, with Carla cautioning her about staying close to the boat as there may be sharks lurking around. Ellen seems to be okay with that, but soon, her shark sense kicks in and she sees a huge gray fin in the water. She interrupts Carla's speech with a cry for help, but the predator only bites the woman, leaving the children alive. They are urgently taken out of the water. Ellen cannot bear to stay on shore while the mayhem is going on in the sea. She sails alone on a ship into the ocean. Captain Ellen leads her cruiser into battle, hoping for air support from Hoagie. Clueless Michael returns home. Carla tells him what happened, reassuring a shocked Thea. The man immediately apologizes, revealing what he knew about the shark.
Shock? You knew?
I thought it went away. Came after me yesterday.
She could have been killed. You knew?
Yes, he thought the shark had gone. He also missed the exhibit's opening. Carla is furious, but Michael doesn't have time to make excuses. He asks only one question, "Where's my mother?" and runs away in a hurry. The man looks for his partner so they can look for Ellen together. It turns out she's also stolen the scientist's only ship. The guys chase her in small motorboats and meet a fishing Hoagie. They tell him what happened, and the pilot suggests another mode of transportation. The team takes off, and Jake suggests that since they haven't found the shark, Ellen certainly won't find it. Hoagie tells him that the woman has been going on and on about the sharks that haunt her family, claiming the vengeful shark won't rest until it finds Brody's grandmother. Somehow, this comes as a big surprise to Michael. Along the way, he asks what the pilot carries when he's not flying passengers. Turns out he delivers laundry. Well, it's not illegal. So be it. Hoagie, you can be my stepdad now. Meanwhile, Ellen keeps swimming away to fight the shark fair and square, one-on-one. The men see the elderly lady preparing to attack and the shark's gray fin nearby. It's time to put Hoagie's extreme piloting skills to good use. Hoagie flies over the water exactly when the shark lunges at Ellen. Apparently, this briefly scares off the predator, but the boat gets damaged and Ellen's fighting spirit is gone in the blink of an eye. Hoagie prepares to land the plane on the water and reports the incident to the Coast Guard. He asks for those who can actually kill the shark to arrive. He might be the only reasonable person among the bunch. After a successful landing, the scientists say that the electromagnetic pulse will attract the shark. They get out of the plane and join Ellen on the boat. Hoagie slowly climbs out onto the wing and apparently confuses it with a stage, starting a stand-up gig.
Damn passengers, you're all the same. Complain. Oh,
Hoagie's common sense left him for a bit, and the shark treacherously takes advantage of it. It drags the plane to the bottom while the survivors try to call Hoagie. Ellen cries bitterly and then hits her son, asking why he interrupted her duel with the shark. It was a matter of honor, and now innocent people are dying. The elderly lady is sure she was the one who had to protect her family. Suddenly, they hear a familiar voice overboard. Hoagie somehow survived. When asked how he pulled it off, he only remarks that it wasn't easy. What a brave yet modest guy. Anyway, the whole team is together now, but the ship's engine is stalled, and the radar shows a shark approaching. Hoagie sees that water is flooding the engine and orders Ellen to pump it out. The woman hesitates because she is looking out, hoping to spot the shark. Jake goes down to the hold, where he crafts a bomb out of a radio receiver that can be activated remotely. His plan is to feed the device to the shark and blow it up. Hoagie confirms that the shark enjoys eating the achievements of science, as it ate his entire plane. In addition, the electrical impulses from the radio receiver should drive the shark crazy. Suddenly, the radar stops showing the shark's location, and Michael thinks the device is broken, but a genius inventor Jake says it's not possible. The shark is up to something and swam away. Maybe it's looking for a log. However, Michael turns out to be right, and the shark swiftly approaches the boat. Hoagie manages to start the engine. Jake is at the bow with a bomb on a stick, and they turn the boat around to attack. The clever shark hides and suddenly jumps right at Jake. Jake manages to throw the bomb into its jaws, but immediately falls right behind. The shark drags him into the ocean, grasping him in its jaws. He tries to resist, but the predator is already dragging its prey underwater. Michael screams in despair and grief. Hoagie is the first to come to his senses and asks to keep pumping water, or they will be left without a motor. The monster shark returns. Michael remembers about the bomb and tries to activate the charge. Instead of exploding, the shark leaps out of the water and growls loudly in pain, like a lion. Yeah, plot twists like this can apparently make sharks talk. Michael is slamming the remote, but it doesn't help. The vengeful shark jumps onto the boat, but runs into a pin on the bow and explodes. The ship is damaged too, and its passengers fall into the water. The ship sinks, along with the remains of the shark, but the others swim to the surface, where they spot injured Jake. The guy broke free from the shark's jaws when it let go of him because of the electric shocks. Michael helps him stay in the water and asks him not to die in his arms. A few days later, the whole family sees Ellen off. She boards a plane with Hoagie to return to her home island. In an interview, an Oscar-winning actor, Michael Caine, who played Hoagie, shared his thoughts on the film. I have never seen the film, but by all accounts it was terrible. However, I have seen the house that it built, and it is terrific. He made $1.5 million in a week's work in the Bahamas. Caine accepted the role as soon as he knew that filming would take place on the islands. The overall budget of the movie was $30 million, which is quite a lot for a movie made 36 years ago. But the actor who played Sheriff Brody in the previous parts refused the role and royalties, saying that Satan himself would not make him a star in this film. And yes, the mind-boggling shark roar in the final battle seemed like such a stupid idea to the sound engineer that he refused to be any part of it, so they had to use audio from the Tom and Jerry cartoons. As always, check out the name of the movie in the description of the video. In the meantime, tell us in the comments. Do you know any other movies that are horrible yet super fun to watch? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button to see even more cool recaps.